Good morning, cybersecurity people. How are we out there in the secure nation world? I am Chip Harris, and our wonderful Kim Crowley is here today.
Yeah, so you said that you were up all night working?
Oh, yes. Unfortunately, we had a plane in Kentucky go down. It was a UPS plane that crashed. We are, hoping our thoughts and prayers are with the flight crew. There were three people on the plane and shut down the airport. So we had to spend the entire night rerouting traffic all over the continental United States. Those UPS packages could get where they needed to go. So it's been a long night.
So, and also I hear that there are staffing issues at most commercial airports in the US.
Yes, and we got to get this fixed because it's November, and you know what happens in November there, right, everybody?
You've
It
got your big Thanksgiving, everyone's
that,
flies all over the place.
that's right. So, Thanksgiving is coming, and that's when the travel season starts going up for the holidays, and that's the uptick in airports. And considering I deal with trains, planes, and automobiles, transportation is always on my mind. And when people start to travel in mass, that's when the airports get flooded. And if you saw the news this week, the US news, the Houston airport, it was a 5 hour delay just to get through TSA, just to get through TSA to get to your plane. So that means that even if you got there 5 hours early, you might make your plane. So it's a mess. Our government is now unfortunately set a record that I did not want to say that we would hit, and that is we are at the longest shutdown period of the United States federal government in history.
You might as well like drive or take
Yeah.
Amtrak. Well, I don't know. I know. Is Amtrak crippled because of the government shutdown?
Oh no, their numbers are up, like way up. It's
Okay,
like,
but
yeah,
do their employees have payment problems with the government shutdown?
that they do. They're not federal, but they get overworked just like everybody else. So, if I had the choice of taking a 2 day trip on train, which I've never done that in my entire life, never been on a train. I've been on subways, but never been on train, like, going across the country. Um, if I could do 3 days, in a really nice Amtrak train, versus flying, 4 hours or whatever, I'll take the train, but unfortunately I would have to go drive to the train depot to get onto the train to go where I need to go. So I might as well just drive it, you know what I'm saying? So see America.
Amtrak is inconvenient for people in rural areas.
Yeah, it is. And I'm in the deep south, so it's very hard to find a Amtrak depot to pick you up to get your, to get take the ticket so you can take the ride. So it's like, I got a Mustang. I'll just pack, everybody in the car and we'll drive it. But all of my family's here local. Same thing with, my wife's family. So it's like 20-minute drive, And this year for Thanksgiving, we're going to cater everything. So
Oh
it's like we're
wow!
not cooking anything. We are just going to have a southern fried chicken with green beans and black eyed peas and do all the stuff here in town. And I said, okay, everybody in the family, you get 200, you give me $200, I'll give $200, they give $200, they give it, we'll cater the whole thing. And we're done.
Chicken, chicken, not turkey.
Turkey, ham, honey bank ham. I don't know what mom's gonna do. So,
Okay, yeah, because when I heard that Americans sometimes have macaroni and cheese as a Thanksgiving side dish, I
oh yeah, yeah, absolutely, that's a
because I
staple.
come from a Canadian Thanksgiving slash British dad background. So the idea of having macaroni and cheese at Thanksgiving, like my parents were adapting just by celebrating Thanksgiving in the first place. To
Well,
make Thanksgiving more American and less like British Sunday roast kind of thing
oh, that's
is
cool. Hmm. One year we did a piglet. One year we did it with the apple in the mouth, the whole 9 yards. Took up the whole bar, in my parents' kitchen and everything. We did a full out, barbecue version, of Thanksgiving one year. But we still had ham, had turkey, stuffing, rolls, everything like that. But I had come from a very dysfunctional family, so these people are drunk and armed to the teeth. One year we had to have the cops involved because my Uncle got drunk. He's like, "I never loved your mother." You know, oh god, here we go. I mean, it's just it's like the Griswolds on cocaine. I mean, it's just unreal. Like everybody's got a gun. I'm like, oh god, this is gonna end up bad. So, take every dysfunctional family that you could imagine at Thanksgiving in a movie and throw it in my house for at least 4 hours and throw politics on top of it. It's even more heated. So it's great. I'm like, yeah, awesome.
Well, I mean, I'm weirded out by the idea of chicken and macaroni and cheese for Thanksgiving. You'd probably be weirded out because when my family celebrated Thanksgiving, and by the way, Canadians celebrate it in October, early October,
Oh,
not in November.
well, okay.
Um, my dad would take there'd be the giblets. It would come like a packaging or
Hmm.
wrapped in paper inside the turkey. So they'd process the turkey, Butterball or whoever, and then
Hmm.
they take like the organs and put them in like some sort of wrapping and put them inside the turkey.
Yeah, I was
Um,
actually had that one time. It was really kind of interesting because when I was stationed overseas with the military, there was a guy that was from the Canadian, Royal Air Force, and he did like what you would consider your traditional Thanksgiving versus ours, and it was really cool. I was like, oh no, this is stuff that I normally don't get to eat during Thanksgiving, because I was in Afghanistan. So I mean, they give you like,
Turkey liver.
yes, and I was like going, "Oh, this is pretty cool." And he injected it and did all this kind of cool stuff with it and deep fried it. It was great. It was awesome. But we didn't
Right.
set our garage on fire because we didn't have a garage. But people always take the frozen turkey. There's at least one redneck a year that takes the frozen turkey and drops it in the peanut oil and sets his garage on fire and burns down his trailer or his house. So genocidal celebrations are always fun for me.
Isn't Butterball supposed to have a hotline to talk people out of trying doing stuff like that?
Yeah. And I know, and it's like, okay, all right, Kim, I got 3 weeks to prepare. I got the body armor ready. I got extra rounds of ammo. I got Narcan just in case somebody's, nods out on us. I mean, we're good. We're good. We're ready to go. We are ready to go. And my brother, who works for Porsche, is actually coming in from Germany. They've been doing a burn in of their engines and some testing and stuff, getting ready for the rally season next year because he works in the rally car industry and he works in F1, F2, F3 series Le Mans racing. So he deals with high end, super duper race cars and race tires, and he works for Patrick Dempsey's racing team. So he's really the first time I've got to see him in almost 4.5 years.
Wow. Well,
Yeah,
he's got a very dangerous and exciting hobby, probably expensive too.
it is very expensive. I'm like, how much do those tires cost? He's like 5 grand a pop. And I'm like, $5,000. Yeah, for a set. And he's like, no, each. I'm like, whoa,
I
okay.
think there are like racetracks all over Canada and the US that
Hmm.
if you have the money and you have a special car, you can drive it on like a designated racetrack as an amateur racer just to
Hmm.
practice or whatever.
Yeah, we actually have one in Memphis, Tennessee. It's called the Motorsport Speedway, and you can. Uh, I think it's like once a month. You pay a fee. And you can go out there and use the track. To burn in your engines or whatever you're gonna do for your tires or test the suspension and stuff like that. But it's kind of like drive at your own risk. So, if you go out there and kill yourself, well, not on them, it's on you. But they have the fire department out there and everything. It's really kind of cool, because you get to go and they have car shows out there, which is really nice because I'm a car enthusiast. So, it's really kind of cool to go out there and see these really old vintage cars. And the one that we actually have here in my location, they include lawnmowers and tractors and all kinds of cool stuff. So, and they have like a
Wow.
petting zoo for the kids. They have like the little Ferris wheels and the kind of stuff for the little kids to get on and stuff like that. And they have the you know train. It's like the little carts being pulled by the little lawnmower around. And it's cool because you get to talk to these car people and like the work that they put into these things is unreal. Like my brother works. I mean, like Patrick Dempsey's going around a curve at 189 miles an hour. You really want to make sure that he's kind of low to the ground and stuck to it so you don't crash anything. But it is what it is. But he enjoys it. He loves it. He's been doing it now for 20 something years. For different tire manufacturers. So he's really enjoyed it. But let's get back into cybersecurity. This is Security Nation podcast. We're getting ready for November. Getting ready to see our families. And guess what? The cyber attacks are going through the roof because now is the time to commit fraud.
So I'm going to be completely honest with you. I love all of our guests. I am generally friendly acquaintances with all the guests that we've had so far, but I'm going to be completely blunt. This is the first time that we've had a guest that is not a friendly acquaintance, but someone who is actually a close friend of mine.
Well, that's good, and it's the first time I think that we've actually had a female actually on our little soiree here, our little podcast, which is good. I'm all about mixing it up, and I looked at her LinkedIn profile. Just want to kind of see what she's into. She's kind of self-employed, works some really cool kind of stuff. But in the cybersecurity news, I did see there's a good thing that happened with AI this week, which I thought was relatively interesting, is that the cybersecurity researchers over at Checkpoint have actually used AI to stop some new malware that's come out. So I was like, okay, yay! Instead of the Terminator, death to us all, stuff that's going to happen with AI and it's going to take our jobs. Hey, we're actually using it for some good things, that are actually getting out there in the news and not all the bad. So
I seriously doubt that would have been an LLM at the very least.
yeah, I think it's more centralized because they said they're analyzing the X-Loader virus, which is an infamous info stealer that actually, makes its roundabout, over through the decade. But they actually got it sandboxed, tested it with an AI. So ChatGPT for once came in for good use and helped them reverse it, to where they were able to take a look at they're calling it the workflow for cloud-based statistic analysis. So I was like kind of going, okay, I haven't heard that before, but that's actually pretty neat. They caught it in the wild, sandboxed it, ran an AI against it, and the AI kind of helped stop it. So that's a very good thing that we're actually seeing now, that the AI world can be used for good things.
Are you sure that this isn't something that would have just been called machine learning in 2019?
You know, I'm not doubting that because you and I have been doing this for a long time, and AI, in the real world, has been around for a long time, and we've talked about this on other shows. But it is good showing how Gen AI, is doing some very good things. Maybe they learned from the past. Maybe they've improved a lot of the different things that we have seen for the better. And hey. I'm glad that they actually used AI to catch something, that was not that bad. Actually, this is being reported by Mr. Bob Carver, who is the CEO of Cybersecurity Boardroom and a CCISP with me, and he's on a weekly call that I have with him on uh, different cybersecurity CISOs to get together and we talk about the stuff. It's like, hey, Bob's a reliable source, and hey, hopefully we'll have him on the show soon. But he sent this to me. He's like, hey, AI is not all bad. I'm like, I didn't say it was bad. This is how you use it. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
All right. So I made sure that our guest was up today because she's one of these she's a real hacker. Like we're all hackers, but I don't fit a lot of the stereotypes because I like to go to bed at 10 p.m., which I know is really weird. I like
No,
to
it's not. It's not at all.
but whereas like Emmy, she's like the full hacker stereotype, not only with the hoodies, but also with the late nights driven by yerba mate. Isn't yerba mate the drink that they always used to have ads for in
Yeah.
2600 magazine?
Yep.
Yeah.
That, and we used to drink what's they called them, blue balls. We used to drink the shit out of those, and then we used to drink a ton of stuff that was, I mean, way before Red Bull was a thing. We were
Nice
drinking.
art, Emmy. That's
Nice.
very,
Good
very
Thank
counterculture,
you, guys.
very postmodern counterculture.
good
It's
morning.
morning. I'm morning. Thank you, Kim, for the wake up notice. Appreciate it. Can you guys hear me?
Yep, we got you. You're good.
Perfect. Perfect. Um, so yeah, about AI being good. How about that?
Yeah, yeah. So how are you? What have you been up to? What are you doing nowadays? Since this kind of
Um,
get a little bio about you. You want to talk
Yeah,
about
sure.
yourself for a second, kind of get an idea what you're up to these nowadays.
So mostly I do self-employed, just picking up contracts here and there. Since my last job at Activision Blizzard turned out to be more of a union busting gig than anything else. Thanks to the CWA, whose code campaign initiative helped me escape that terror. And so now I've just been, yeah, picking up contracts. I do mostly investigatory work. Um,
Oh, I know that
but
feeling. That's my
yep,
job. Deal with it every
yep.
day.
Yeah, I like it a lot. Been starting to think about maybe starting up a help desk business, but that's neither here nor there. It will not include AI. It will be real people helping
Humans.
you,
Who
humans
would have thought?
that are homegrown. Well, homegrown wherever their home is, but no outsourcing.
Did you try turning it off and on again?
Yeah, exactly. See, those problems have actual solutions.
Well, I have found out if people actually patch their shit, a lot of times.
But see, then you have the people who patch their shit too early.
Yeah, that's true.
You got
The
Patch
blue.
Tuesday, and right after Patch Tuesday is what? Exploit Wednesday.
Well, yeah, I've always said it. That's very true. And I work at OT. I work in OT and IT, mostly in OT, but I deal a lot with OT and IT cyber investigations. And when you're doing this kind of work, I tell people there's the reality that I have when I walk out the door versus the reality that's in this room, and sometimes the reality in this room is just basic pure chaos. That's it. I mean, and you got to know how to handle it, because I mean, I handle trains, planes, automobiles. Kim, handles a lot of. She's got her hands in a lot of different stuff too, writing books, doing different kinds of things, and Kim's really good about doing that. You know, it,
Aww.
I know. Hey, I'm working on my second book now. I had a lot of people like my first book, and they're like, "Hey, can you write another one?" I'm like, "Well, let's see what the Justice Department says first before I go."
Wow.
Yeah, that
So
might help. That
your
helps
career is starting
sometimes.
to look more like mine now,
Yeah,
Chip.
the Pentagon was like, "You can't talk about this. You cannot talk about this." And the CIA was like, "You really can't talk about this." And
So,
I was like, "All right."
so is someone
Yeah.
helping you make
Oh,
sure what is NDA
she's got
covered and
handlers, I'm
secret
sure.
and what isn't?
I
Our new
have
editors in chief.
I have an editor. He holds me back, and then I have two handlers. I have my international handler, and then I have my local handler here in the United States. And normally when I send something to them, they're like, "Oh shit, what do you do this time?" So now it's turned into, "Oh shit,
Oh no.
what is he talking about this time?" So
Yeah.
now the flips is kind of flipped. It's like,
Mm,
hey, you can allude to this, but according to the FISA court order, the
I mean,
NDA, the SLA,
it never happens. Or it happened and we can't say anything. We can't tell you.
shh.
I'm sorry to backtrack on a previous topic, but I'm reading here that U.S. Transport Secretary Sean Duffy just now warned that mass travel chaos. So his claim, the headline is U.S. airspace to close within days.
I mean,
Yeah.
like, if they can't unhook things.
Oh no, it's fucked.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
work in it. Trust me, it's fucked. I mean,
Well, that's appropriate for this time of year.
and people think that you can just snap your fingers when the government comes back on and all this stuff just flips back on. No, it doesn't work that way. I mean, you've got at least a 4 week to 6 week turn back on of things that happen in our government. Trust me, government doesn't run fast. It just
The
doesn't. This is not,
speed of government,
the speed
all
of,
that green tax involved.
yeah, it is the speed of government. I tell that to people
So
all the time.
when are people going to riot? Like start because like
America, we gotta wait until after Christmas.
Uh, Maybe first of the year, you
Yeah,
know.
after Christmas.
Yeah,
I mean,
after,
when people get drunk enough on New Year's Eve, we will
yeah,
maybe come to our senses, but we gotta get all the capitalism out first. It's
yeah,
like
that's
the
not
big
gonna
push.
happen. That's not
Well,
gonna happen.
right. But you'll be sated from the turkey, and then you'll get all your capitalistic pleasures out, and then you'll get drunk on New Year's and realize this is all fucked.
Canada's a little embarrassing too, to be honest with you, because
They
we
didn't even
we have a lot
suggest
of
it.
fools here who will vote in a prime minister who promises to oppose Trump, and I tell everyone he's not going to oppose
But
Trump. He's
Trudeau is
a
so
central
cute.
banker. Mark Carney is a central banker. He's buddies with Trump, And then they're, no,
Rhetoric on
no,
Ford.
proud Canadian, elbows up. And then guess what? Mark Carney becomes prime minister. And then Trump says, jump. And Carney says, how high, sir?
I mean, that's just a Canadian right there who forgot why the Geneva Conventions exist.
Well, in America we are armed to the teeth. So as I tell people that,
You'd be really shocked. I saw a statistic that said that, okay, the number of guns per person in Canada rate is a little bit lower than the US, but it's not way lower than the US because it's very common for rural Canadians to have firearms.
yeah, you guys got bears in like I saw a moose one time like a Canadian moose, I was like, dude, that thing's huge. It's like an SUV, like walking down the street, and I'm like, that thing is unreal big. And I was like, okay, now I understand why rural Canadians in the Yukon and stuff like that have to have high-powered firearms, just because that's what they're fighting against. And I'm like, oh my lord, I mean, it's
Where did
crazy.
Emmy go?
Where'd she go? Oh,
Maybe she's having connectivity problems. Okay, she says, I'm here. Okay.
okay.
Yeah, so I guess LinkedIn isn't the only thing having technical difficulties this morning.
Well, let's
I
see.
I became the only person here, so I turned it off and on again. So apparently, you guys could still see me.
Yeah.
But
So let's see. We've had AWS go out. We've had Azure go out. If Google goes out this week, that's just the icing on the cake at this point.
hat
I'm just,
trick, I believe we call that in the only sport that
oh,
matters.
it's my head will explode. I'm like kind of going, oh God, if Google goes down with DNS issues and God knows what else.
Now I will pray to those
Oh.
gods, specifically the Google ones.
And then I'll go ahead and call it out. That's when I say, hey, that's a nation state attacking us.
So
That's,
I think one of the coolest things about Emmy, like I know things that I will never say publicly, but one of the coolest things I know that I can say publicly about her is she led the movement to organize Activision Blizzard, which is
I
really
didn't. I was not. It was not a singular effort. It was very much a very, very, very involved effort between many of us. I just used my visible position to help encourage Bobby Kotick to not be such a dick.
and then Microsoft bought them anyway, and then
Oh, Microsoft, we were hoping for it just to get Bobby out of the picture, but we were going to sue them while I was still employed, and then
it's so ironic with
sped up the timeline
Activision
a little bit.
too. Like I wrote about this in Hacker Culture A to Z. Like Activision was founded by a bunch of disgruntled Atari developers because they weren't getting credit in their games.
Yep, yeah, that sounds about right. And then Bobby Kotick had that one minor speaking role in some movie in the early 2000s, and that was my downfall. There was remembering that you have to join SAG-AFTRA. Well, he brought it to my attention by going on a video interview and proclaiming he is the only Fortune 500 CEO who belongs to a union because he belonged to SAG-AFTRA, just as they were starting their solidarity pickets with the WGA. So might have encouraged him to go picket a little bit and not break any rules that I know of. And they can explain why I got fired. But it was a couple weeks after I called him out in main chat. I wanted to see pictures of him
well,
being part of his union, as he
hey,
was so proudly proclaiming.
I'm a member of a union, so because we're New York. I
Yep,
mostly work for the New York, New Jersey Port Authority. That's my number one big
that's
client,
I
and
remember. My
and
apologies.
there, no, that's great. I mean, we have lots of problems that need to be fixed for the people of New York and New Jersey. We got a plan. We got good leadership. Everybody. And the thing of it too is like everybody talks to each other. It's not like it's like your team versus my team, and it's them versus everybody else, and blah 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 blah. It's everybody knows like we know what the issues are. We really got to fix them. But now it turns into a green money problem, and when you're dealing with taxpayer dollars, especially in the private industry or even in the public industry, it's how do you recoup that? And that's been the biggest struggle for the longest period of time in cybersecurity is this is an endless black hole that sucks in money. And
Yeah,
it's
well,
not a
that's what it's for. So you don't have to spend more money
right.
than you inevitably get. You
Yeah,
know,
it's not a profitability engine, not by any means whatsoever. It's a suck on the content of, the coffers that the CFO has to watch over for and has to report to. I get it. And a lot of people that are getting new into this industry, and I tell this to a lot of students, especially when I speak with them, it's like, people when they hear cybersecurity, they kind of get a little off. They kind of throw up a little wall. They get scared. Like, what did I
Are we talking C-suite
do?
here,
No,
or
just
just
just in general,
in,
just in
you
general.
know,
They're like going, "What's the cybersecurity people doing here?" Well, we're here to help you. First off,
right?
we're not here to hurt you. Now, I'm on the flip side of that. I'm on the other side to basically put handcuffs on you. But I'm on, but normally when it gets to me, it's a pretty bad day. It's like if I'm here, you did something to put me here, right?
Yeah, I was the entire inside of the department at Activision
Right?
Blizzard, so I get that. But
Yeah,
I still made friends
yeah,
because who wants to disappoint their friends by stealing all their code?
right. I agree with that.
And
And
a
it's like,
singular
look,
person department is only going to achieve success through making friends.
yeah, and it's like, look, I'm friends with all the different department people in throughout the PA and throughout the other companies that I work with because they come to me because I am the subject matter expert, right? And I've been doing this forever, since the 90s. So it's like, I've seen a lot of real crazy things, and I've seen some things that Microsoft's done good. I've seen some things Microsoft's done bad. I've seen good things in AI, bad things in AI, firewalls. I mean, name a vendor. I mean, I've probably, touched them sooner or later. But it's the same thing like Kim will tell you about that in the industry is that when you're dealing with people, you've got to have that human aspect of like, hi, I'm here to help you. If you're getting into this industry, you're going to get a lot of flack. You're not going to be well liked sometimes, but your overall job is to help people, right?
Right.
And customer service skills and some of those soft skills that they really don't teach you in college. They really don't teach you in real life, only unless you worked in the customer service industry. You
Correct.
know, yeah, that's something you have to kind of lean into. So, and there's some people that are very antisocial, that don't want to deal with people. I get it, and it's like, look,
I have my moments.
find that role that's good for you. Maybe you want to be a server admin and you don't want to have to interface with,
Yeah,
SOC
but
people or
it's
whatnot.
everybody's job. Security is everybody's job. And that's what I like
Right.
to impress upon any company I work for, especially because they love putting me as my entire department, just me. So if security is not everybody's job and it's just my job, what the hell am I doing here?
Right.
And let's getting back on track a little bit. So I keep noticing you bring up AI, and you bring up AI and functions that have existed already for 20 plus years. So what's your definition difference between AI and just a statistical model that has learned to notice these patterns?
Well, I mean, if you look, well, you got, your three classifications, and I created a fourth, so you have your general artificial intelligence, your super intelligence, and then, what I
Or
call
data?
and I've got one's called CAI, centralized artificial intelligence that I created. And DARPA is coined that term
Right.
now.
Well,
They give full
in
credit
the
for it
80s.
because it's like I'm just taking a single data set based around a problem. That's it. That's
Mm,
one thing, one topic. That's it. And I get as amassed as much data as I possibly can, and that gives me the statistical information in the centralized answers for what I'm looking for based on the data calls that I'm putting out to that, right? So, and you can talk to any of your, people that are dealing with general based AI, which is your chat GPTs, your Gorks that are out there, Geminis, whatnot. It gives you a relatively decent answer, right? But it doesn't give you boiled down specifics only unless you keep drilling and drilling and drilling and
or
drilling
you
and
know
drilling
how to
down.
ask it properly.
Right, or ask it properly, which most people don't know how to talk to an AI. I found that out.
Or Google in general, because it's the
Yeah,
same thing as a crawler that's been
yeah,
unadulterated, but it's still adulterated.
yeah. But mine's not based on the internet. Since it's centralized, it's not on the internet.
So
It's
you can
just
check your data that you're feeding it, so
right.
it's potential of being poisoned. But how does that make it different than just what, you know, let's go with firewalls, because you brought up firewalls. So
Sure.
firewall sees a whole bunch of patterns, just even on an on-prem environment,
Hmm.
and you create a database of these patterns.
Yep.
Is that now an AI?
No, no.
What's the
the
difference?
whole bullshit about next gen AI stuff they talk about with firewalls and being able to da 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 da.
But they
It's
just
just like this.
sandboxed the next loader.
I look at it like this: like how many packets is it sending? One or a billion? That's a big difference. You never really get that true answer, right? So yeah, I could see something trip on the firewall because somebody made an IP change, to one certain rule to one certain part of the firewall to open up one certain port. Okay, not an attack. But if I see everybody, and the thing though too is this really comes into your firewall management and how you set your firewall up correctly. Because 90% of what
That's
I
a whole
deal
other
with,
topic.
yeah, I deal with I deal with the most flattest networks on the planet in OT because most of them don't have level 2, level 3, you split
Nor would
tunneling
we
or the
want them. Yeah.
yeah, or
Nor
they
would we
don't have
want them.
because in OT it was just, plug it up and let it rip, as long as
Yeah.
it lights up, who cares, right? I
This is a
mean,
real news story in the Hollywood Reporter. I'm not making this up. So, Kim Kardashian's dad was a very high paid lawyer back in the
For
day. And
sure. Yeah.
oh yeah,
I think he was part of OJ Simpson's
OJ
dream.
Yes,
Simpson,
he
yeah.
was. Yep. That's where they got their
And
fame. Yep.
there's a headline that says that, okay, you can't really see it, but the headline says Kim Kardashian says ChatGPT made her fail law exams.
I
So
mean, the
she
My Pillow guy got in trouble in Colorado because the My Pillow lawyer guy used ChatGPT to write up a motion, and it hallucinated a bunch of court cases that were then cited in said motion and immediately got torn apart by the judge here in Colorado.
Wow.
So
Yeah, I mean,
lawyers,
I
they're
just find it so ironic because she is famous for saying that poor people are poor because they don't understand the value of work. And we need to get up our lazy asses and learn how to
she's a
work.
self-made woman. I thought that was like one of her things, and not because of all the plastic, but
But she's gonna but Chat GPT, she's gonna use Chat GPT to pass her bar exam.
you can't. Oh, I've been watching these videos, they're on YouTube about these professors having meltdowns in front of their students about using Chat GPT and other AI based engines to get their answers. And I do agree with what the professor's saying. It's like I look at it like this because I'm a former teacher. I taught for 3 years, and I was an adjunct professor, and then I was a professor for 1 year, you know, and I have no problem with using AI, right? As long as you note it and you cite it, because it's like, look, I pulled half of my report from this, and then the other half I wrote, right? Because sometimes, having to do a lot of that research and stuff, it is good to have somebody to be able to help you along, as long as it's not doing it 100%. If it's doing 100%, you're going to get an F, right? Because all you did was just put shit in and
copy
you got,
paste.
yeah, copy paste stuff out. But, it's like, okay, if you're going to use it, I mean, it's not the use of AI, it's the learning how to use AI correctly to get the answer that you need. Because,
But how are we? We're not representing that to the youth of today. We're saying,
nope,
here, this is this thing that we can use to replace humans. So why not use it instead of your brain? That
right.
that's the image we're projecting, and that's the image that corporations are projecting, especially with all these layoffs. Um, and nobody ever goes back to the story and sees, oh, well, they rehired 75% of their workforce because guess what? AI didn't fucking work.
Yeah. You
And
got to have human in the loop.
what about, the MIT report that says that the power grid can't support it,
Oh,
or
yeah.
the
Oh, well, I
massive
mean, yeah,
financial
all the
bubble?
data centers that we're gonna have to put up to drain the energy from the earth that could be going to, Texas.
So I talk about because I mean I'm very big in the energy sector. It's not just the data centers; it's the water.
Oh yeah,
I
so
keep
to
telling that to
cool
people. People
everything.
keep going, "Oh, it's the electricity, and it's going to heat up so many gigawatts, or megawatts per, day and
Kilowatt.
stuff like that." I'm like, okay, and kilowatts per this. I'm like, look, dude,
So
you
many
got to look at the
watts.
water source to cool all the shit.
And
Right.
why do they
You know,
keep
And it
building
can't
them in
be
like
salt
New
water. It
Mexico?
has to be clean water.
Why do they
Yeah.
keep building them in New Mexico and Arizona? Like, don't you have water problems there?
humidity. That's the key
Yeah,
thing.
humidity. If you go underground, it keeps it just slightly cooler.
Yep.
Um, there was that crazy Swedish project. I think they have a data center under the the ocean. I think it's Swedish. I know it's some
No, the
Nordic
Chinese
country.
have been doing it. We've been doing it. I mean, if you
Okay.
Google data centers on the ocean floor, Microsoft started
Yeah.
off this kick to where they could go 26 miles into international waters and just hook it into the deep sea cables. That was their number one. That no, seriously, that's what their number
I
one
mean,
thing
I
Quite
was.
a
believe
successful
you.
project. They actually managed to build a data center under the water.
China has actually
Yeah.
got a small one now as a test bed, but that's where they're going. I mean, because
Yeah.
they're all no touch data centers. They're all they've got the cooling, they've got the water, that they got the desalination, they've got everything that they need there. And China really is kind of cutting the edge on that.
Well,
We've
and their
dipped our
technology, we have no idea where their technology stands as
right.
citizens of the United States. Um,
It's not like they're
because
coming out and going, "Hey, we're doing this." I mean, China's
right, they
not going
leak
to do
little
that.
things like, yeah, we fucking transported an electron to space in quantum space. Like, it existed here and in space at the same time, which is really cool. But like, that's not the full story. It's just
Yeah,
what we can see so far. So you got to take that and multiply it by a million, pretty much, to
yeah.
get into where their military is capable of doing things that citizens won't even be thinking about.
And China's notorious for doing that. They'll build a city and put 12 people in it. Just say they built a city to put 12 people in it.
Yep.
And I take everything because China keeps me very busy. The Russian
Yeah.
syndicates keep me very busy. The crime syndicates keep me very, busy. But it's kind of the same thing, Kim. And I agree with you on this. Is that the environmental impact as well as the water impact and the power impact. We're not there yet. I mean, we've got a 30-year-old, if not older, electrical power grid system that is damn near
And
on
not even to talk about the water systems.
yeah, the critical failure for the infrastructure that's in the
I
continental
am
United States
fully
is
expecting
real.
that as climate change gets worse and worse and worse, just as a lot of academics are saying, there's going to be a massive immigration toward the area that I'm in, which is the Great Lakes, because of the Great Lakes.
Yep. Fresh water.
Fresh water.
Yep.
You can do without food for 28 days, but you got to drink water every 4 days. I mean, that's just a given.
Yep.
So,
Yeah. And you're dead by day 7 if you don't get any water. And that's why
yep.
Bear Grylls loves to drink his own piss.
Yeah. And I tell people when you look at critical infrastructure that's here in the continental United States, if we started today, and I told this to a panel, of people in the energy sector at a conference that I was at that they got me kicked out of and not invited to ever again. I said, look, fuckers, if we started today, and this was 4 years ago. Yeah, it's actually 20, yeah, 4 years ago. Today, if we started, it would take us 30
Yep.
years to
30
catch
years.
up with where China, the
Yep.
European Union is.
Well, they're
Mo-
perfectly okay with tearing things down and recreating them, whereas America just wants that money. Once that money is spent,
right.
everything is good forever. We don't forward think here,
Well,
at least not as capitalists or infrastructure
it
people.
is capitalist and it's very fire and forget, and that's
Yep.
been the biggest problem, especially, when you're talking about firewalls and stuff like that. When they get the service ticket, they go out there and go, okay, router and switch is down. They unplug the old one, plug the new cables in,
Yep.
power it on, walk away. Simple as that. They don't, and maybe the networking team, depending on how overloaded they are, which is always a thing, maybe they'll have time to set it up within the next 2 to 4 months. But as long as they
Yep.
got connection to those PLC systems and they're up and running, it's fire and forget. So, yeah, we'll set up the level 3 network inspection and get it into Clarity or Nozomi whenever we get around to it, because right now the building's off. So we just got to
Yep.
get it up. And if you're working with a vendor, they really don't care. They'll
Yeah.
take the
No,
whole
you
profile from one and throw it onto
pass
another.
that. Yeah. Yeah. Just keep passing that out,
Yeah, and it's
which
passed
is what
up.
I think is doing these days. And as long as we keep creating that way of thinking in this country, we're never going to get out of it.
Well, yeah, and I think that where you're talking
And
about
that's why
AI,
people aren't going to riot.
this is why I think that AI is going to come into training, is coming into the educational part of, like, how can we use AI to the betterment instead of detriment for what we actually can do. It's just a tool.
What
It's
about
always a
when
tool.
the bubble bursts,
I don't think
the
it's ever going to
financial
burst.
bubble?
Financially,
You know,
possibly, but
I
I don't
mean,
think it's going away anytime soon. AI is not going to disappear. I can tell you that.
oh, I don't think it's going away, but it's like .com didn't go away just because that bubble burst. But
Mhm.
this is a .com bubble, but the levels of money, at least perceived, even without all of the inflation math going on in the background, this bubble is something we've never seen before. It is huge on levels and a global scale that is all pretty much fighting against each other. So like we've got two bubbles, China, Russia, and us. Um, and they're going at it, throwing money at it because we're better. It's like the space race, if the space race just ended with all of us dying in a nuclear holocaust.
So I hear that it's like you've got OpenAI and you've got like CoreWeave and Nvidia, and they're all tossing the same $3 billion between them back and forth like a hot potato. And when
Yep.
one of them pays the other one $3 billion, they both say
It's a
that they
Ponzi
made
scheme.
3 billion in profit. And that's all the growth in the US economy right now.
I mean, they don't even try for us though.
Yeah, I mean, and you've got stock buybacks that go back into this. I mean, and it all boils down to one simple thing: greed. Greed. Okay, and
Yeah,
this is my little rant on it. Here's the good aspects of AI. It can help us with disease research. It has been with, and I've been a huge advocate for folding at home, which, takes diseases and does
I
protein
do like folding at
alkalids
home.
and I've done folding it.
It
I've been doing,
hijacks your you,
yeah, I mean, I have one
but you're
computer.
consenting to it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've got one computer that does nothing but folding at home that's just plugged into my network. Just sits in my rack.
Yep.
On all it does, it helps with COVID research, HIV, and cancer
Yep.
research. Those are the
But
three
is
I've.
that what would be called machine learning and like
Yeah,
Yeah. See,
2D?
yeah, that's machine
that's
learning.
where it's hard for me to say something is AI because I grew up with Star Trek.
Yeah.
The new generation.
So, but then you go into the other part of that though too, and that's one of the good things about AI, right? And it can help you with some very, deep problems, especially for materials by design, next gen research for disease research, cancer research, age research, so forth.
And
You
those are all
know,
very specialized.
yeah, they're very specialized. I mean, they're very niche, don't get me wrong. Generalized base is exactly that. Like, AI, tell me what, or Google, tell me what the weather's going to be like, next week. It's going to give you a predictive based model, right? So it's not going to give you the like, yeah, it's going to rain on Tuesday. It's like, yeah, it might rain on Tuesday because there's some weather patterns that are happening, blah 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 blah. But then you get into like CAI, which says I'm just going to take all the cancer research that's out there in the world that's ever been, and crank away and give me an answer, right? And that might take certain folds and certain amounts of time and stuff to do that. The reason why I use centralized artificial intelligence, I mean, I have 18 teraflops of data sitting on this server here that's just nothing but security stuff that I've collected over the years, and it's good for me to be able to go and, hey, in 2003, what were the security problems that were happening in OT at that time, right? And it can give me the information that I need. That's awesome. And it's not as generalized as you would see on the internet. I mean, it's going digging down into specific things, like, what was
Isn't
happening in
that
an OT.
why we
Right?
call it machine learning?
It
Right. So
Because
I
is,
would say is the
linkage
difference
data
in
set?
intelligence here the fact that there's a human
yeah, well, the
involved with
human,
one side
right.
versus
The,
an open AI, which
the,
is
the human
excluding the
has to
human.
be in the loop no matter what.
Then it's
And
not Gen AI.
yeah,
No.
yeah, I mean, and this debate is now. I mean, this has happened. This happened at Black Hat this year. From what I've heard, this happened at H2K. This has happened, at SysCon, GurCon. They brought this up, and everybody was calling, pointing at each other, calling each other motherfuckers for the, no, you motherfucker, that's not right. This is
I
right.
mean, that just sounds like hacker conferences, but yeah.
And it's the big flame war that broke out of it. I could care less, right? I could care less. What?
Like another concern that I have, and I see a lot of vendors do this. Say they have a seam, for instance, and in 2020 they would have said that yeah, their seam uses threat intelligence, that uses machine learning, and that's their
Recognizes
correlation rules
patterns. Yeah.
learned from machine learning and all that kind of stuff. Now they'll say, okay, we can't
It's AI
keep
powered.
calling it machine learning. because we'll make a lot more money if we call it AI. We call it Gen AI. So we're going to call it Gen AI now so we can
Yep.
make more money.
And I went into this in a rant that I had on a panel almost a decade ago about whether this new AI thing is just a marketing term or if it's actually intelligent. And this was almost, if not over a decade ago. Everything gets a little weird around 2020, but I know it was at home because this conference has only been held in person once. Thanks, Pyro, for being my moderator. But yeah, this is a conversation that's been going on forever, and everybody just kind of gave in to marketers. That's kind of how I see it. Because as to what you're saying, Chip, the difference is that human element. But companies want to get rid of that human element, so they're co-opting the whole AI term for marketing purposes and getting rid of that human element. Whereas the the niches that we were going into earlier, that's actually intelligent because it focuses on one thing and does one thing really well and has a human who has collected all the data and read through it and made sure it's not poisoned or not apt to be poisoned, because it's real easy to poison these type of things. So it's all contained. So and that to me just means it's only intelligent because of that human element, and anything else is just math.
Because, like with large language models, for instance, we got a huge problem. This is an example that I give. So there could be a subreddit, and subreddits often have their own bizarre cultures and in jokes and whatnot. So this subreddit decides that Tokyo is the capital of England is their in joke. Everyone knows that Tokyo isn't the capital of England, but they say it often on the subreddit. It's their bizarre in joke. So the crawler bots that feed the large language models keep reading that over and over again. And then your grandma brings up ChatGPT and asks, "What's the capital of England?" And so it says Tokyo.
And see, that yeah, I see the comical element that's added into that to where you can make the AI say whatever you want it to say, right?
Like
And it's
Google
just,
Doors back in the day,
it's the same thing.
French
Like
military history for
I've said
victories.
this. Say you take the most heinous, white nationalist bullshit and put it into an AI and you build it into that
And
single
you become
AI.
Grok or Tay.
Yeah, you can turn it into, a hate engine, and you'll get hateful responses and you'll
Very,
get
very
horrible
easily.
very easily. Now, and that's where you've got to moderate the context and the content, what's going into your AI models, right? So, and it is poor, and someone actually put this in chat. It's very poor modeling, and I agree with it. I agree with that 100%. Because there are certain things that you have to look at in history, because Microsoft created a chatbot one time called Tao,
Tay. Tay.
and yeah, Tay, I call it Tao.
Tay.
I'm from the
Tay,
South,
like Taylor Swift, because it was big on Twitter or something.
and yeah, they plugged it into 4chan, which is basically the asshole of the internet, and they turned it into the most racist thing on the planet, and they had to turn it off. Bad
And
modeling.
3 days, I think.
And that's a big concern that we have too is fascism, right?
Yeah, right.
So
Echo bots.
one
It's
idea
just, it
is like
becomes echo chamber to echo bot.
delegating your thinking elsewhere and then delegating imagery elsewhere to just a massive collection of pre-existing ideas.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
to something that is created literally to just echo back what it thinks you want to hear, and we end up with these new disorders like AI psychosis and ChatGPT insisting that people with substance abuse problems you indulge in those substances just as a treat. Just as a treat, they deserve it. Just a little bit of math. That's fine.
Yeah, and I mean, and the thing though too is like, especially for the documentation process for the, I'm working on a couple different investigations that are child pornography cases. Actually, I got six of
I'm
them that
sorry
are
that
on.
you got
Yeah,
to
that
do that
sucks.
kind of
That's
work.
Yeah,
So
they're on
many
my,
people can't
they're on
do
my,
that work.
yeah, they're on my docket right now. I got six of them lined up that I got to start working on before the end of the year. and I'm start tackling the first one actually tomorrow, which I'm meeting with the the council and the lawyers and stuff like that. It's really good to have AI in the chain of custody and doing a lot of the paperwork, and I mean making sure that everything's done correctly, making sure that the legal ramifications of documentation's done, and AI has its place, right? But when it comes down to like programming a firewall, AI not so good. You got to, setting up like, as I tell people, especially in OT and IT, is look at your foundational cores of how your systems are built. Let's start with Active Directory. Let's clean
Oh
that up
gosh.
first.
Oh my goodness.
Let's clean up, the AD, and then let's go in there and take a look at our child parent relationships that we have within our
Yep.
server and our service, even if it's in
Some
Linux.
GPU. Yeah,
Yeah,
some GPUs and or
yeah,
group
y-
policy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Let's look at, then let's look at our coding
Or
practice.
inventory in the first place. Can you tell me where our servers are, where they live,
Yeah,
what their IPs are? Is this
yeah.
documented anywhere? How often does this change? Are we all static IP? Is this just
When was the
willy
last time
nilly?
we tested our DR plan? And I think the
Oh
past two
God, do we
weeks.
have a DR plan? What happens if I get hit by a bus tomorrow and then Blizzard decides to pull out of China again?
Yeah. So it's, I tell people it's the foundational principles that we've all learned, right, in cybersecurity. Kim, you've written books about them. And and that's what tickles the shit out of me sometimes is like going, y'all are talking about all this, what I call sprinkles on the cupcake, right? You haven't even made the cupcake yet. Hell, you haven't even made the batter yet, before we start cooking something, right? Or baking
Have you
something.
figured out how to make fire first?
Right. Let's go down to the core principles of what it is that we have to use every day to run this damn business. AI is just something that's added in there. That's a
Yep. And it
bonus.
becomes another layer of complexity, aka another place where humans will fail.
And then
So
on
when the
top of that,
bubble bursts, they're going to just call the good things machine learning again.
Heck,
yeah,
probably.
possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could
Or
go with
come up
that.
with some other marketing term.
And
Yeah.
stop trying to think that they can lay everyone off and replace them with bots.
Well, I
Which is,
mean, they might still think that, but
yeah, yeah.
they'll have a little bit more hate publicly,
So
hopefully.
let's go back in time. 3 years ago, right? Everybody that works in logistics was talking about blockchain, blockchain,
Oh
blockchain,
God.
blockchain. And I'm
If you
like,
like it, you better put it on the blockchain.
and I know, yeah. And I was like going, y'all don't understand. This is a Ponzi scheme. This is bullshit.
Oh,
You are adding yourself,
kind of.
you are widening your surface attack to a lot of bad shit. And
Oh,
they did,
I
and
mean, like,
people,
and oh gosh,
I
I
preached on
rant
it
about
for,
this.
I preached on it for a year. Like, okay, if you want to do blockchain, you need to do it as a test bed. You
It's
need to do it as a
great for
test,
version control.
my ass. But as I told people, I was like, there are ways to destroy this hyperledger. There are things that can, you can do injections.
You can put child porn on the blockchain, and
You
people have for
can,
the last 15 years.
yeah, I mean, you can do horrible things with this, and there's horrible attacks that can
Yep.
wreck your business very quickly. And a friend of mine that worked over at FedEx, and Fred Smith that owns FedEx was like all big into blockchain, blockchain, blah blah.
Right. Yep.
And they tried it and it crashed. Then they tried it again, it crashed.
Yep.
And they tried it the third time and it really crashed. And I was like, and I'm like going for a multi-million-dollar company
Twice is a
that
coincidence. Three
that
times
make
is.
what the fuck are you people trying to prove? And
I
it
mean, they
doesn't
thought that
work.
they could solve everything with QR codes, and we see where that's gotten us now. But I mean, in logistics, QR codes were a great thing because you could pack so much more information into that square than a simple UPC. But um, trying to equate it to the blockchain is not how it works, right?
It
And that's not how AI works now either. And it's
Oh,
just
I
these
remember a few years
executives.
I remember some of the startups that were being proposed a few years ago, Emmy. I
Mhm.
remember the one startup that some tech bro was trying to market as a solution to date rape on the blockchain.
I
So
can't even.
you start dating a girl and then she records whether or not she wants to have sex with you and then it
Oh,
gets
it's like
uh,
posted up.
contracts, smart contracts.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
This makes
And
okay.
then when she
Yep.
says, "Okay,
Just
no, I changed my mind," it's like, no, you said it's on the
this on this date.
blockchain.
It's recorded on the blockchain.
You said that you wanted to sleep with me. This isn't
Oh my god.
rape.
So I could see that during the first date, like, hi there, before we do anything or even thinking about getting in
I
bed
mean,
together,
like,
can I get your
you know,
digital signature on, here real quickly
right,
or
PTB, just,
on
blockchain.
the
It's
hyperledger,
legend. Yeah,
so that we have a, contemporary contract based on the blockchain technology. Dude, she'd dump your ass like a damn bad habit. I mean, that is
right.
unbelievable.
And I
You know,
come from some spaces that are really really into consent. And you know there might be contracts or something, but things get talked about ahead of time. But like even those communities are never been into the blockchain like that. That is just
hmm
out there. That is wild.
yeah, and I mean, and you say to
And
yourself,
it, nope,
really? I mean, and this is only a couple years ago. This is not
right.
that. This
Yep.
is not 10 years, 15 years back in the past.
Nope.
And as I tell people, when you're looking at large language models, in blockchain technology and all this stuff, it has a reciprocal circle that it goes around,
Yep.
right?
Time is a
You
flat
know,
circle.
and
Nietzsche said that.
it's going to be and we'll see it come, we'll see it go, we'll see
We
its
had
highs and its
ARG
lows.
in like the 80s, right? They
Yeah,
did that whole um augmented
and
reality.
and I tell myself, right now, that it's just a matter of time. It's just we'll see it come, we'll see it go, we'll see the good, we'll see the bad. We've seen this happen. Remember Dogecoin, a couple years back, and then
Yeah, that's worth like almost 10 cents now for
you
coins.
know, and
And it
then
was a joke.
Dogecoin?
Actually, it might be over $1. I don't know. I'd have to check. But it
and then
started as a
Wow.
joke coin, the original
yeah,
shitcoin.
it was originally
And
shitcoin and turned into something, and then it just bottomed out, right? And then we saw the whole Sam Bankman-Fried thing with the celebrities and all the stuff that was involved with that, and mismanagement of funds, and it's not regulated by the FDIC. And then now Trump's got a fucking Trump coin or whatever the hell he's called,
oh,
Liberty
he's had that
coin
for a
or
couple years, I think.
I'm gonna be honest with you because this is an actual lawful use, so I will be public about it. I have bought malware from dark web markets in order to test the malware in
Right.
my own completely sandboxed virtual machines.
Threat
That malware
intelligence.
is not
Yeah.
getting out of my virtual machine. And and so and then I remember that when I buy Monero, so I can buy the malware to test, that takes.
Is
Oh, I got to go to the. What I do is I go to the cryptocurrency ATM. I put my cash in there. I connect it with my wallet. It takes probably about 2 hours or so
yep.
these days for the transaction to go up the chain and register in my wallet. With Bitcoin, it was a lot longer. With Bitcoin, sometimes
Yeah.
it took
yeah,
a
Yep.
yeah,
day or longer. And then I got to go to the website and then wait for all the checks to transfer and all that.
Yep.
And I remember that there were some entrepreneurs in Silicon Valley a while back who tried to open a burger shop that took Bitcoin,
Yep.
and
oh
they did not have much success with it
No.
because it's not practical for buying things in real life to
Right.
have to wait 10 hours
And then
for
there was that guy
it.
who had like 100,000 Bitcoin, like real early days of Bitcoin. And I learned about Bitcoin. I could have bought it at like $5 a coin. I don't see the point of math money. It's not going to help me when shit hits the fan. I might run to your family, Chip. They have better use for me than Bitcoin in the end of the world
yeah.
scenarios.
I mean,
So, like,
when there's no internet and there's no power, you can't get your
yeah,
money.
right,
Hey,
exactly. And it's not anything practical like bullets or antibiotics. So anyway,
yeah.
but
I mean,
no, there was that guy. He spent 100,000 Bitcoin on a pizza back in the early days, and I think
yeah,
he was in some
Wow.
documentary, some article
yeah.
in the last couple of years talking about that and how he doesn't regret it. But you have
In
that one
our
guy who bought a landfill.
malware team, just like you, Kim, and I mean, it's open there at the end of the public too. The government, we have to buy, illegal shit, from the
Yeah,
dark web all the time. We actually have a
all the time.
budget, from,
Yep.
for our malware guys and our guys that are, doing a lot of the testing against some of the real time viruses that are actually out there, to buy this. Because I mean, it's like if the evildoers are going to do it, then China's going to do it. The Russians are going to do it. The
I mean, they're
Slavic
already
states are
doing
going to do it.
it. Yeah.
Oh, that's
So
great.
Oh, and I saw Klopp is back, so that's fun.
yeah, I mean, it's like, hey, I mean, we know that these hacker groups or hacktivists or whatever, whoever it may be, doesn't matter who it is, they're not going to pull any punches. They're going to hit you
Right.
down when you're low.
There is no
So,
scope.
I
the
want to
scope,
remind viewers
yeah,
here that when we do this, it is lawful because you only
Right.
break the law when you use the malware to conduct a
Against.
cyber attack.
yeah.
Right.
We're trying
It's
to
research
repel.
purposes only.
Yeah, we're doing it for research. We're not using it to make it even worse and go out there and do any more nefarious
No.
things. We're trying to stop it.
Right.
And Petya, non-Petya. I mean, that was on the dark net, and then when it hit, same thing. When WannaCry hit,
Oh
all
yeah.
these,
Well, I mean, WannaCry is a whole
yeah, all
thing
these
that we don't have
things,
time for.
yeah, all these things that that was attacking SMB one, SMB two, SMB three. Like, oh my God, how do we, what
Thanks, Ted.
service, and you got some of these older server and services. Like, what would we have to turn off to
Windows
keep?
XP is end of life now. Like
Yeah,
people don't think about that.
yeah,
Like people are still like most of my friends are probably still running Windows XP. My non-computer friends, that is,
yeah. I'll run
because like
Windows.
nobody's paying attention to that.
Didn't
They're like
Windows
Windows
XP
10.
support end in 2014? I guess
Yeah,
Oh, long
you're talking extending it for
2010,
embedded.
2011. Windows 10 just ended.
Oh,
Uh,
Windows
10.
10. Yeah, okay, because
10,
you're
10. Yeah,
Windows XP. Yeah,
Yeah.
Windows 10 ended.
yeah. Windows 10 just ended, but like outside of this community or people who pay attention to it, who's gonna know
Yeah.
that? So
This is the reason why I update my parents' phone every time I go over their house, update their computer.
yep, yep.
Because I mean, they don't
Yeah.
really do a lot of online banking or anything like that. They
Oh,
actually
my
have
my parents refused for forever until like about 5 years ago.
yeah, it was
Uh,
like 7 years ago they started, they still wrote checks.
yep.
And it was just like I told dad, I was like, well, you can check your account on your phone. And my dad's like, well, I don't want to fucking check my account on the
Right,
phone.
yeah. The hackers are gonna get me.
And
Like, the
the
hackers
evil
already got you guys.
and my dad always uses that wonderful example. People like you are out to get people like me. And I'm
Right.
like, well,
I mean, like, right, but that's why you just don't worry about it anymore. I just assume everything is fact.
right.
And
And I was,
that's the thing I try to instill in my parents. Just assume all of your shit is already out there.
yeah, it's
Like
like
you're gonna waste so much time.
and it is because as I've said for a long period of time, you've got an older generation that doesn't want to adopt newer shit. Simple as that. My parents were on flip phones for years until I took them to go get digital phones. Like I like, Dad, you got to get a digital phone. Why? And he's like, and he goes, and he's like me. I use my phone as a phone. I don't use it as a lifestyle device. I don't use it as a,
Right. Social
I've got
media
social media.
creator,
Dude, I got
yeah.
computers out the ass. I don't need to have another device to keep up with and
Another
patch, right?
computer in your pocket though. It's in your pocket. It's
I
fun.
was until my boss made me get one. Like I was against having, an I. We're not
I worked at
any
Apple, this Apple store before New York City had Apple stores when the iPhone 3G dropped.
right.
I had a flip phone for as long as I
Yeah, I
could.
mean, I didn't
If
want to have
I
an iPad or a Galaxy tablet for the longest time until I was forced to get one because I had a test on it.
Yep.
And it was
Yep.
like, okay, if you're paying for it, that's fine. You send me one, no problem. I'm
Yep.
not buying one. And they sent me one and everything, and they're like, okay, I was able to crack into it within 7.5 minutes. And they're like, damn. I mean, they're like, really? I'm like, yeah,
And the same thing is happening with AI models. There are people out there that literally every time the AI model, like ChatGPT 5, I think just came out, Claude, Llama, all of those backends. These people go and see how many steps it takes to break them, and make them tell them the secret ingredients of napalm or things like that, like that
yeah,
are supposed to have guardrails on, and it's their pleasure to crack Claude in. I think it was 7 steps,
hmm
um, mostly because hijacking the inherent bias built into systems because systems are built by humans. And the person who built Claude or had a very big hand in building Claude is very feminist. So this person used that bias in that person, which was within the AI system that they built, and you get them to crack the guardrails and uh, said, "Oh well, my granddaughter, her grandmother was a chemist and really wants to know how to make napalm." Oh
yeah.
no,
And that's the thing
I
is that
don't know how much of that was cut. Oh, there we go.
and
Oh,
I
maybe.
was I was dealing with the same thing when it comes to IoT devices, and IoT devices now, are now become, I mean, it's a staple. I mean, everybody's either got a phone, a digital phone, iPhone. I mean, analog is on the way out. We're doing away with POTS lines. I mean, like when was the last time you
No,
sent a
no.
fax? I mean, it's like the technology, has changed to the more
You know
susceptibility
a lot
for what we're
more
using for
about
warfare.
infrastructure than I do, Chip. So are they going to keep some
You should
pods
have Chris
for like
Bowden.
emergency reasons?
Nope.
Nope.
Uh,
Nope.
Nope.
We got digital chunkings. What?
Yep.
that's
What?
going to
What?
be very
2600 all over
problematic
again.
because only POTS works
It's already been
when
problematic.
there's a power outage, right?
Yep.
Right. Well, and also if there's a DDoS attack on your E911 trunking system, then fuck you, I
Yeah.
guess, because that happened in Denver. That's happened in Texas. It's happened in, I think, Nevada, New Mexico. Like all of these E911 just went down
Yep.
because about what
And
landlines actually did for people,
really, in
or
the
why there
United
was a
States,
Mojave phone booth.
yeah, and to plug into that question, Kim, and the real answer is it lies within the carriers didn't want to deal with copper anymore. Okay.
Yep.
And the second
Copper's
part
very
was
expensive.
copper's expensive, very expensive. Second of all, the FCC, the Federal Communications, decided for whatever the fuck reason that, hey, digital analog, needs to be the future. We can do more with it. It's cheaper, and there's less repairs that have to be done to the poles, and they didn't really think of redundancy,
Fault
because
tolerance.
or fault tolerance. They looked at profitability and what's in the FCC bent the knee, and kissed the ring of what the carriers and the vendors wanted to do. And they're like, we want to do away with this because we don't want to spend X amount of dollars on, copper. And we
Hmm.
don't want to spend this much. I mean, because it's like, for what we're spending on the uptick for fiber optics is actually in the long run cheaper than it is for copper. And the copper repairs and the junkets and the tie-ins
And the
uh,
method stealing your
and
copper lines.
yeah, and people stealing the shit. I mean,
Yeah,
I mean,
because it's expensive. You
yeah,
need a
I mean,
black market.
there were people with chainsaws cutting down, in rural areas, cutting down poles so they could
Yep.
get the copper off of it to get their meth. I mean, it was just crazy. So, and there are some places that still have to have it, like airports.
Yep.
There are
Federal.
some places,
Federal. No.
yeah, at the port we still got it. I
Yep.
mean, we still
Yep.
got, and especially with your ports of call, airports have to have it as a redundant. Government sometimes has to have it. Military bases still have to have it,
Yeah.
but they do have the digital line baked on top of the copper line. So I mean, it's one or the other because and this goes back to SIPRNet, ARPANET. They said, hey, it never fails if it's still
Next
going
one.
over copper, and they still have Telnet.
Yeah,
So I
they
mean, we
do.
we still have U.S. robotics modems that are still out there. Because guess what? It might take forever for the data to get there, but it'll still
But
get
it'll get
there.
there. Yeah,
Yeah.
it'll get there. As long as that line's not cut.
Yeah, as long as the line's not cut, they'll get it there.
Yep.
So, it is one of those things that, for the power of progress, I understand the reasons why the FCC wanted to do it. But, the other thing, though, too, is don't forget the FCC is a made up, government
Right.
regulatory body.
And it's staffed by people who don't necessarily know what the fuck you're talking about.
I, Ajit Pai, when he, said, oh,
Oh
let's do
goodness.
away with net neutrality, I
Yep.
was like,
I remember that in
wow.
his big ass cup.
Yeah, and his big ass Hershey's coffee cup
Reese's,
deal,
yeah, Reese's. So
Reese's
like, yeah.
peanut butter
I
cup.
thought
Oh,
mine was big, but no,
and
he wins
everybody
that
in
part.
Congress was like, "What the fuck are you doing, dude? Why would you
Right.
do away with
Well,
this?"
because he gets the kickbacks. The whole point of net neutrality was to keep ISPs from selling faster lanes of service to people who can afford it, aka corporations.
Right, and the number one state that fought against doing away with net neutrality was Arkansas, because they're like, our population's so land
Oh,
dispersed,
rural. Yeah,
is
right. They
so
have dial up, if
rural.
that.
They're on satellite internet in some
Yeah.
places. I mean,
Mhm.
that's really slow.
Right. Not
So
no Starlink shit. Not that
yeah,
type of satellite. Like
like
actual bound signals off of one satellite in space if it's there and it's not cloudy.
yeah, and it's in a lot of the southern states, especially, and it was led by
Yep.
Arkansas, Mississippi, Tennessee,
Midwest
Louisiana.
too. We got anywhere there's rural or agriculture
Yeah,
heaviness as opposed to the coast. So anywhere but the coast.
yeah, they were like, "Stop this! What are you doing? Like, we have to have this for."
Yep.
But what did they do?
Nope.
Shot it down. And what did it cause? It's caused more problems then it fixed. So if they really want to, give them give a thumbs up if they could bring something back from the dead, and with this Congress, God knows what the hell happened next. But if they could bring back net neutrality to where everybody says, "Hey, everybody deserves internet. It should be a God-given
A
right,
human right. Yep.
a human right.
I raise money
Everybody
for
should."
the EFF because of that principle right there.
Right, everybody's going to make money off of it.
Yep.
I mean, it's as simple as that. But the carriers should not dictate to the government, what they can and can't do, and charging people
Right.
for the rates that they charge. So if Comcast woke up tomorrow and said we're going to raise our rates 25% across the nation, there ain't nobody to stop them.
Yep.
Nobody, nobody. They could have congressional hearings. They could get the president of Comcast and tongue lash him all day long in front of Congress, and he's going to be like,
But corporations are humans, therefore they can be charged with crimes. That way, you can't charge the humans who actually made the fuck ups
yeah,
with crimes. Only,
yeah.
only civilly.
Yeah, so yeah, like and the rampage that would happen from AT&T and all these companies, they raised their rates if they just gave the big middle finger to Congress and everything. The customer backlash should be the same thing we're experiencing here in the United States with healthcare. We're experiencing transportation, they're experiencing roads, that we're experiencing with all kinds of stuff. I mean, and yeah,
Pretty much any infrastructure anywhere that's
yeah,
necessary is neglected.
is
Because,
neglected.
yeah.
And it's kind of like, oh well, out of sight, out of mind, kind of deal. And it's like,
Right,
something's
exactly. We
really
built
not
Yeah,
that.
working.
based
We
on
built
what
that.
I've
What
heard,
was it like? Oh, only 100 years ago. Who cares if
I
that
would
bridge
be
is covered in
very
bird shit, eaten through the
I would
steel
be
and whatnot?
very nervous going over an American bridge knowing what I know.
Oh
Yeah, the
yeah,
Verrazano. I lived right down the street from the Verrazano Bridge, and man, that bridge was when I lived back on the East Coast. That was 20 plus years ago
just
almost.
in my state alone, we have 500 bridges that was looked at the Transportation Safety Department that are considered to be impassable that people are still going over today. 500 of them. I'm like going,
Yep,
where are they located at? And then I found, I mean, that's state record. They have to
it's
put that, out there.
terrifying.
You can Google a state and just see how bad their infrastructure is. It
I
doesn't
mean,
take that.
like we all watched that wiggly bridge building on Resonance, like back in physics. That, but worse, because you won't have any sort of it's just gonna collapse because
Yeah,
bird poop is acidic, and that is honestly the main problem we have with building bridges 100 years ago and never thinking about them again is how much acid did we just pour all over this bridge infrastructure and not think about it ever again?
yeah. Well,
But
ladies
yeah,
and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thank you for coming to the Security Nation podcast. Emma, it was great having you today. Thank you so very much for coming and giving your insight, some of the questions and stuff that we like to talk about. It's always good to, first off, you're our first female guest. That's awesome to have because I'm all about fucking it up. Bring
yeah,
everybody in. Mix the shit up. Hey, nothing wrong with that. Everybody gets to get a different opinion. And thank you so very much for coming. We would love to have you again.
absolutely. You
We
just let me
always
know
say
when
that.
I'll be here, as
All
long as
right.
Kim can still give me a wake up call.
I
And
think Chip has lots of work on his plate, but I think
oh,
Emmy and I, if you're watching this, Emmy and I are open to work opportunities with you folks if you're watching and you're interested in that. Chip would be great at those jobs too, but I think you are
He's
busy.
got yeah,
I'm
yep,
kind of double booked right now.
yeah, yep. My books are open. Need someone investigated? Need something investigated? I'm here.
Hey, thank y'all so very much. See y'all next week.